Hello to each and every one of you. Welcome to our channel, Logical NDE, where we post accounts of people's near-death experiences that they have shared with us. If you've never visited one of our videos before, we'd like to let you know that we make them with people with open minds who are interested in learning about the hereafter in view. Please help us out if you actually enjoy these kinds of tales by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. This will allow you to keep up with all of our most recent offerings, such as this one. As for our regular viewers, let us begin rolling today's episode while you sit back and relax with your favorite beverage in your hand. Today's story comes from Mrs. Reina, who shares her experience of a time when her husband was severely ill and in a coma after almost dying in a car accident. In these minutes, her husband taught her lessons of life that he had learnt as well. Now moving to the further story, let's dig into it. Hello everybody, my name is Reina and I come from Florida, a state in the United States of America. I had been married for 4 years when my husband met with an unfortunate accident that led me to research about the sciences behind near-death experiences. Upon research, I found out that this phrase, near-death experience, often describes the mystical, deep encounters people claim having just before passing away. Patients who have survived serious head injuries or cardiac arrest are more likely to experience them. In other words, near-death experiences are situations in which you might expire and remain unconscious unless emergency medical measures were taken to save you. Such occurrences occur more frequently than one might imagine. According to a 2011 survey, 9 million Americans are thought to have reported having an NDE. These people, or NDErs, frequently experience significant post-traumatic growth. It is such an encounter that can completely alter people's lives. Here's a similar story of my husband from the year 2016, when he met with an awful accident that almost snatched him of his life. During August of the year 2016, my husband had recently switched his workplace, and his current work only required him a lot of driving due to the placement in the marketing sector of the company. On one such day, my husband, Ted, was returning from his work on his truck. It was a fine Wednesday afternoon. I worked remotely from my home on Wednesdays and Fridays. That was when I got the phone call at around 3 p.m. Not even in my wildest dreams could I think that Ted might have run into an accident. Nevertheless, they told me that Ted had had a brutal accident where another truck had collided into Ted's truck, and that I was supposed to come to the hospital right away. I went in there and saw the situation, and immediately I got a fair idea that Ted might not make it. He was in a coma, and the doctors simply asked me to hold myself together. The pain I felt for my dear husband could not be judged. I stayed in the ICU as his only attendant. Day by day, Ted's condition started growing worse. He was taken up seriously, and they took me to therapy and made me aware of how Ted's skull had deformed itself. It was a very hard time for me, since it didn't seem very hopeful for him, and I was clearly in anguish. Other individuals who had family in the ICU came together to support me. I tried to keep myself hopeful and prayed to God to bring my husband back to his normal life, but his conditions kept deteriorating. It was one particular family in the ICU that kept me going through those times. Ted had worsened to the point that he was their only patient in ICU who showed zero improvements. That family uplifted my spirits and asked me to stay patient and keep praying, and that's what I did. The girl from that family stayed back with me even after their patient passed away. The grandfather of the girl, the patient who had just passed away, had been diagnosed wrongly. His wrong foot had been amputated, which increased in the infection because of the bacterial attack, and he passed away. We take a moment to sincerely appreciate your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel if you genuinely enjoy viewing these kinds of stories. This way, you'll be able to stay up to date on all of our new releases, including this one. Make sure to link up to us right away. Now, let's continue with our story. 2 days after his passing away, Ted dramatically woke up. I was over the moon at that time to see my husband back to life. The girl who would stay with me was very happy for me too. Conditions for Ted improved, and almost 3 weeks later, Ted was brought home from the hospital. It was the time when I became the most grateful person for everything that was around me. One evening, while returning from Ted's weekly checkup, he told me something very strange. He said how he had been in a coma, but he was aware of everything that went around him. He told me how he had seen an old man with one leg walking around his bed all the time, and how he would take care of my husband and talk to him because my husband felt lonely. I teared up listening to his story. He also told me how the old man had been the one to jolt him to wake up, saying, "You are not supposed to leave yet." At one point a day before my husband woke up, he had lost all consciousness and went dead for 5 minutes while he was in the coma. He told me that the old man had brought a large sack full of light that reminded Ted of every beautiful memory of his from this world. The old man forced him to return away from the door of the other side and sent him back for me. Return, as she waits for you. By that point, I was crying profusely listening to him. It was a very emotional moment for me, thinking how my husband had been saved after all. Those days had been so tough on me already. He hugged me and tried to console me throughout. That was when we decided to make a visit to the family of the same old man who had passed away 2 days before my own husband woke up. We went up to their house and they welcomed us warmly. There Ted told of his near-death experience and how that grandfather of the girl had saved him from passing away. Everybody mourned his death. Next, we decided to go to the graveyard and drop some flowers on the old man's grave. The entire experience had us crying, but it gave us patience. Ted often remembers this event, and we talk about it so that it doesn't take up a toll on any of us. He would always say that he was surrounded by a very warm blackness. It wasn't cold or scary, but very calm and serene. It was the best nap I've ever had, he often remarks. Even though it has been several years since that incident, I see Ted, and I turned out has changed people from it. It made us quite different than we had been prior to my husband's accident. There is absolutely no denying the transformation near-death experiences leave on people. Even though I had not personally encountered it, it left me deeply moved to the core. We started valuing spending time together and cancelled out the word regret from our lives by living whatever day we had up to the fullest of its capacity. Major psychological and spiritual changes, including increased empathy and less concern for wealth or social standing, were brought on both of us by this profoundly mystical experience. Beyond that, even being aware of them resulted in significant life changes. We both ended up growing in compassion and generosity. We all have a deep-seated understanding of what it means to have a near-death experience. We both realized that we are not alone in this place as a result. We belong to something bigger than just ourselves. And that has been what helped us grow into way more mature and self-aware individuals. That's all for today, folks. Do you believe NDE and the transformation it brings into the people experiencing it? Do leave a comment. On that note, we hope that you thoroughly enjoyed today's episode with us. To share your thoughts regarding this latest video, do comment down below and let us know your valuable feedback. You can also support our channel by clicking the subscribe button and turning on your notifications so that you never miss an update from us. Until next time, stay blessed.
you.